All right.
3, 2, 1, let's roll. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-da.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Do 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 do. All righty, welcome back to another exciting edition of Rake Your Position, where four lifelong friends living out their dream from the comfort of the chairs. I am Aaron, the host.
I'm Joe, the groundskeeper. Sorry, I know we're a baseball podcast.
Well done.
You yelled at
I'm
me
cool.
for in a hockey jersey.
Yeah, I'm Jaylee the
That's hockey.
Rover, and I am happy to have Corey back.
Hi, I'm Corey, and I'm back. And I'm the fourth friend. Yeah, fourth favorite also, probably. But I'm here, so I'm still here.
Go ahead and
found
vote
your
on that,
mom's list,
listeners.
did you?
We would like to see.
Hey, I will say this for the people that I show this pod to, at least like a still shot of where they can see everybody. Corey, you're definitely not fourth favorite. I'll tell you that.
Oh,
Ooh, well,
Wow.
I'll wear a deeper V next week.
am I number one?
I'm so confused by all the things that Joe just said. But we're just going to leave it at that because I don't
Baseball.
want to know who's fourth.
I like to think I'm number one, but go ahead.
Well, I like to think I'm not fourth, but after that, I don't
We'll
know.
see.
So we'll see. I'm okay with that. All right, so we're moving right on into our rankings. Last week and this week's going to look quite similar because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It is the exact same. Only the votes were all pretty much like unanimous. So the Braves got all the first place votes. Baltimore got all the second place votes. Dodgers got all the third place votes. Rays got all the fourth. And then the Astros and M's once again are tied, splitting the fifth place votes.
Really?
So nothing that exciting is going on there. Corey, you didn't have a chance last week to talk about the little mix up at the bottom of the rankings. So if you got anything to add about the Astros and Mariners and who else might be sniffing that fifth spot.
Boy, the Rangers, rough time. That's the main thing I have to add. I did go into it thinking I was going to try and put the Cubs on there again because they just swept the Giants. But I think the Astros and the Mariners are the clear. I have no problem with the Astros and the Mariners tying for that fifth spot. I was in the same boat where it was. I didn't know which one to pick, and I just picked the Astros because they are technically in first by a little. I had a little bit better last week. But that's fine. Cubs are there, I think. They play the Diamondbacks next, which we're going to talk about, so that'll be interesting. Although the Diamondbacks have also been scuffling themselves of late. No problems. This is a pretty nice. We're all playing nicely here. It's nice to be back, guys.
It's good to have you back. Yeah, Cubs are definitely making some noise. Probably the next team up for me would be Toronto, which we haven't really talked about since the very beginning of the season. What about you guys? You got any other teams that think you might vote for next week, or are you pretty set?
Well, after the Braves Cardinals series, the Cardinals might be getting my vote.
Shoot to the top. If the Braves get swept by the Cardinals, I will not vote for them next week. I'm just telling you right now because that's atrocious. All righty. Well, talking about records, Corey, you got a little stat for us.
Yes, I do. That was short and sweet, but well, I mean, what else do we have to say there?
What we got?
No, I know. No, I wanted to revisit the Pythagorean Pythagorean records. That's my other math podcast. I got confused with this one. We talk about various math
That's why he
topics.
missed last week. They overlap.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I double booked. But wanted to talk about the Pythagorean records and the base runs, and just kind of look at some teams that were over performing and underperforming. I'm setting my timer 3 minutes. It's
nice. Talk for 3 minutes before you set your timer. That's good.
Yeah. You're welcome. But it's really interesting. they each of these look at base runners and run differential and all that stuff, which we like to talk about when you do rakings. I went a lot deeper into it on a previous episode somewhere. It was one of the numbers. Just listen to them all. You'll find it. But as far as underperforming, to no one's surprise, the top underperformer of Major League Baseball is the San Diego Padres, with -11 difference in their Pythagorean record compared to their actual record, which means they have 11 less wins than is expected. Same thing with base runs; they have -11. Second, I was surprised to see the Royals. They should have, according to their Pythagorean record, 8 more wins, and according to their base runs record, 12 more wins. But let's see here. As far as overperforming, Orioles, right at the top of that list, +12 for the base runs, +12 for the Pythagorean record. I'm surprised. I'm guessing it's mostly their pitching is done a lot better than probably what was expected going into this year. Marlins, we've talked a lot about them this year, about how they've won a lot of games maybe they shouldn't have. And they are evening out a little bit, but it's still kind of showing up here and there. I thought I was going to talk about the Cubs more, but they are starting to win the games that they were supposed to win. So their Pythagorean record and their base run records are evening out. And the Brewers are also. Oh, no, the Brewers are overperforming. That's the interesting part about the NL Central, which is mostly why I'm talking about this. It's because the Brewers are +5 Pythagorean record and +9 base runs. And then the Cubs are -4 and -3. So if there was that much of a shift, like that's 7 games, which they have the Brewers have a game and a half lead right now. So the Cubs could have a 5.5 if everybody was playing to what their expectations were. I don't know that I didn't do a deep dive in this. I would assume that there's not that much of a shift in any other division. I think most of the division winners or division leaders are there. Maybe probably Baltimore and Tampa would be.
Yeah, that'd be the biggest switch right
there as well.
What depth of a dive would you say you did take?
Scuba,
7 feet. I grazed the bottom when I did my dive when I dived.
It's not very
I'm
big.
not an English guy. I know. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Cool.
It's a pretty shallow dive. That's why I grazed the bottom.
As you talk about the run differential, like right now, 4 teams are battling it out for that last wild card in NL that have negative run differentials. It's crazy. Somebody who gives up more runs than they have scored all year is going to make the playoffs. That should not happen.
Yes.
That's baseball.
And then
that is baseball. And then it's the Padres.
Yeah.
And then in the American League, potentially 3 teams with positive run differentials are going to be sitting at home. So
the American League's a little bit stronger, but the National League is a little bit more of an interesting race right now.
I agree.
So,
well, thank you, sir. Man.
Yep.
All right. If you want to set that timer for me, you might want to do that because this next topic is the GOAT topic. You guys probably know where I'm going with this, but it is our 22nd pod, and I have barely talked about the Braves, and I'm going to talk about the Braves. But we're going to talk about team offense. And so when you hear the 1927 Yankees, what do you think about?
Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth. Yeah, they're known as the Murderer's Row. Have you guys ever heard that?
Yes.
Known as one of the most prolific offenses of all time.
Homicidal hallways.
Yes, the homicidal hallways of 1927 New York.
I'm going to write that down.
I just want to share. That's a good one. Just don't have them play with 3 doors down and get tricky. You like that? That's good. So 1927 Yankees won 110 games and swept the 94-win Pirates in the World Series. Here's a few of their stats. Lou Gehrig hit 373 that year. Combs hit 356. Ruth hit 356. Measle 337, which I don't know who that is. Antonio Lazzari 309. Ruth hit 60 homers. of course, set the record that year. Gehrig, 47. RBI totals, Gehrig, 175. Ruth, 164. Measle, 103. Lazari, 102. And they're actually second that year in team OPS plus. One of 9 teams over league average. They were responsible for over 10% of the total home runs hit that year in the majors. I thought was just funny.
Wait. Who beat them?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I had to pull them. I got so many tabs, I can't find it. St. Louis, but it wasn't Cardinals. It was
Nope, it doesn't matter. Still counting.
Stars, St. Louis Stars, which I'm not sure who that is.
Yep, Cardinals.
There you go. And they had 4 Hall of Famers, of course, Gehrig, Ruth, and then Combs and Lazari. So it's just a nice little rundown. But I wanted to just highlight the Braves have been cruising in the top. They've been in the first spot. And we haven't really talked about them just because they've always been up there. We've talked about Acuna, of course. But I just want to point out some of these stats because they're on track to break some records or catch some records. And I think we're looking at one of the best offensive teams of all time. And I just don't want you guys to take them for granted. So this is for your health. Their weighted run created plus right now is 125. Next is Tampa at 118. So they got a pretty good gap. Of course, the Cardinals just blew all this out of the water today. This is before the Cardinals whooped the Braves today. So some of these numbers have slightly changed. First inning runs. What's that?
Can you explain what weighted run created means for
I was about to
everybody
say the
but
same thing.
you and I?
Yeah. So weighted run create plus is one of these fancy stats. An average team is going to be 100. So they're 25% better than most.
Wait. Before you explain it, can I take a guess on what it is?
Go for it.
Weighted runs, I'm going to assume, is any time that Marcell Ozuna has an RBI.
Well, that happens frequently. So, yes, that could be directly related.
Because he's heavy, because he's bigger.
That's right. The Bear.
And whenever Lance Lynn pitches, he reduces the weighted runs.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. First inning runs, they've scored 126 times in the first inning. The next is LA Dodgers at 104. And this is when the stats start getting crazy. These advanced stats. Barrels is basically like Joe when you're playing MLB The Show and you get perfect, and you get a ground out to shortstop. Barrels is the real life equivalency of that. The Braves entering tonight had 441 barrels. The next second place team is the Twins at 344. So they have 100 more barrels than the next closest team. So they just square everything up, and it's reflected in the hard hit rate. 46.3% of their balls put in play are considered hard hit rates. Do you guys know who is second in team hard hit percentage?
Cardinals.
Rangers. The Cardinals are second, 42%. The Braves' average exit velocity as a team is 91 miles per hour. The Rangers are second at 89.9. And here's what's crazy. The 19th place Arizona Diamondbacks are closer to the Rangers than the Rangers are to the Braves. They currently have 4 guys with 30-plus homers, and Albies entering tonight was at 29. And so 5 is the record. Do you know what team has the record for 5 guys hitting 30-plus homers?
Colorado.
All right, Jared, what do you got?
I'm gonna say the Dodgers.
Dodgers?
Red Sox.
Red Sox. You guys are all wrong. It is the 2019 Minnesota Twins.
Oh,
Twins.
yeah.
Yep, the Twins.
They
That's
had
what I said.
5 guys.
set the
Now that you know
record.
it's the Twins, can you name those 5 guys?
Buxton.
Buxton is a no.
Sano.
Sano is a yes. Miguel. 4 other guys.
2019 Twins had 5 guys with 30.
They set the record for most home runs.
They
in a
set
season,
the
right?
record. That's what I'm getting at here in just a minute. Most home runs in a season was the 2019 Twins. 5 guys at 30-plus. Sano was one of them. Buxton was not.
Garver.
Garver was one, the catcher, yes.
Nelson Cruz there.
Nelson Cruz had the most, 43, I think. I didn't write down his numbers. He has the highest though. Two more guys. One is still there. One is not. Still plays, but not on the Twins anymore.
Kepler.
Kepler is the one still there, and the other guy is a Brave.
That's where I stopped.
Rosario?
Rosario got 30 plus that year, yeah.
Really?
And so if Albies gets one more, the Braves will tie that record. The Twins that year also set the record with 8 guys getting 20 homers or more. The Braves are at 7 with Arcia sitting at 17. So he's the next one. So yeah, just talking about all-time home runs, 2019 was crazy. It was the juice ball. So here's the current top 10. 2019 Twins, 307. 2019 Yankees, 306. 2019 Astros, 288. 2019 Dodgers, 279. So the top 4 are all 2019. And so the Braves currently are on track for 309, which would break the record. They hit a couple more tonight. What, 2 or 3 so far? Of course, the Cardinals have hit like 17 tonight, so whatever. So the Braves are on pace to break the record. They've got a chance to tie a couple other records. And currently, their run differential's at 235. Next is Tampa at 186. And so I was curious to know how well do we know our run differentials? So the 1927 Yankees that we're talking about, plus 371. And that was not first. That was not first. The 1884 Maroons were over 400 run differential, which is crazy. But in our lifetime, the 2022 LA Dodgers. So last year, the Dodgers had a plus 334 run differential, and the 1998 Yankees had a 309. But the Braves are only on track for 278. So that's pretty crazy to think about those numbers. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys as we just talk about just a great baseball team. I wanted to check your trivia on your home runs, and I don't want you guys to miss out on what's going on. I know you guys razz me because of the Braves, and you don't want me to talk about the Braves, but this is one of the best teams that we've ever seen. And they're doing all that, and they're 25th out of 30 teams in team strikeouts. They're at the very bottom of the league and striking out, which is even more unique for this day and age. So
can you remind me who's a pending free agent on that team?
Who's a pending free agent?
Yeah, nobody. Oh, okay, let's move on.
Yeah, it's great.
This is going to be great for everyone
one thing that
forever.
One thing that's interesting as you just think about like dynasties, the Yankees, of course, won all these World Series. I took a 10-year window, 1921 to 1932. They were 4-3 in the World Series, but their overall playoff record was 22-15-1 because there was no other rounds. So in those 7 years, they just go straight to the World Series. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody ever catches the Yankees. I know some of you guys know who's second all time in rings. The Cardinals.
Can you remind me?
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Cardinals, right? But back in the day, you just went straight. The American League champ played the National League champ, World Series, game over. Now it takes 11 victories to win a World Series. And it could take, I guess, even more if you get stuck in the new wild card instead of a bye. So when the Braves won the World Series, it took 11 victories. So now the new playoff format's even different. So in the last 5 years, the Braves have 22 playoff wins, and the Yankees had 22 in a 10-year span and won 4 World Series. So lots has changed, but I've seen a lot of these stats comparing the Braves to the 2019 Twins and the 1927 Yankees. So just don't want you guys to miss out.
Was it 162 games, or was it like 150 something back then? The 1920s?
Back in the 1920s. Yeah, I can look that up real quick. I'm looking at the team right here.
They
They were 110, 44, and 1. So 155.
I thought it.
So I don't know where the one came from.
Slightly less, but
yeah, it's closer than I thought. But yeah, then you got a lot less playoff games.
So you're saying from this segment they have the chance to be the best offense we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, because when we saw numbers like this in 2019, everybody was doing it. But right now, the Braves are doing it so much better than everybody else in the league. and not striking out. So it'll be a big disappointment if they don't win it all.
Okay, that was my next question. So if they don't win, it's just
if they don't win
disappointment.
it all, it's a huge disappointment because
Okay.
right now, and even like I even got like their pitching stats. They lead the league in ERA plus. They're fifth overall in regular ERA. They're third in FIP. So whatever you like to judge your pitching staff, the Braves are top 5, and they're first in Ks. So like, and which is crazy because they've used 16 starters, which is an Atlanta record. The last time they used 16 starters was in 2016, I think, and they only won like 60 games because they were horrible. That was when the rebuild was starting. So the fact they're doing this with a bunch of no-name rookies from the worst farm system in MLB and the mound is great.
Sorry, my last question on this. Sorry, go ahead, Corey.
I was just going to say the 1927 Yankees were also playing people that are probably accountants in today's game because there was a large group of people that were not allowed to play in Major League Baseball at that point in time.
Yeah.
So it's the stats are great, but it is not exactly like the fact that the Braves are doing it now is I think even though the numbers aren't as good, is significantly more impressive to me. I just wanted to, and I didn't. You don't need me to add to your big-headedness over there.
No, I've stayed off the Homer bandwagon, but I had to share that.
Bring him back down, Jared.
We've talked about that with Ruth, though.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, let's not have that debate tonight. But I won't bring you down, but I'll bring you sideways. How about that?
All right.
So I'm going to take it away from baseball for a second, and then I'll bring it right back to baseball. But so I remember in college, I wrote a report, one of the few I did. I mostly skipped this class and didn't write anything. But Aaron, you may have been in this class because I feel like you may have plagiarized off of me. I wrote a report on why the Sacramento Kings were the best team in basketball.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Because all the offensive stats for them were first points, percentages. And they did not win the finals because they got cheated in the finals.
They faced a better team, but go ahead.
Yeah, there's plenty of evidence of cheating.
Well, next pod, not baseball. We're talking that.
Yeah, so bringing it back to baseball, maybe for our listeners, so we can think about something other than Atlanta. It makes me think of, like, if you have your favorite team, try to think of the year you remember them having their best lineup. And when I think of that, and we've talked a little bit about this before with the Cardinals, I'm not going to be able to get the year, but they had a year where they everybody in their lineup, I believe, batted over 300 for that year, and they had a lot of pop too. And I can't even would be able to
in our lifetime,
but yeah, it was probably like
a Pujols year.
I feel like 2003,
4. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jared saying 04. Look it up.
Keep talking. I'll look it up.
They had like Renteria. They had
Larry Walker, Pujols, all those guys.
Yeah, I mean Roland, Edmonds, Reggie Sanders was there, and he was the boss. He would K a little bit, but man, he was ripped and old and still good at that time.
I think you're talking 2004 or 2004, yeah.
And if it wasn't all right at 300, they were all really close. And that season, they won a buttload of games, and just you went into the game thinking, okay, we're going to score 7 or we're going to score 8. It'll be one or the other, and we'll win. Mm-hmm. Their lineup was really outrageous. So, listeners, as you think, whoever your favorite team is, try to envision the year that you had that best lineup, and maybe revel in the glory days if your team is no longer good.
Then what happened when they made the World Series?
That year?
Mm-hmm.
Did they make the World Series that year? Well, they didn't win it because they won. Yeah. Is that when they got swept by Boston?
Yeah, Boston won that crazy run.
8 in a row.
Yep. Dude, yeah, these stats are crazy. Matheny was a little off, but Pujols, Tony Womack, Edgar. No, Edgar's just off. Yeah, a lot of guys hitting up there. Career years. That's crazy. Of course, the 3 guys over 1,000 OPS is a nice middle league order.
Yeah.
Well, then nobody
Yeah,
else
they
is
had that
over
for a few years.
800 or over, yeah. So like they had average, but no
Yeah, they didn't have pop.
power.
Hmm.
Yeah, who needs it?
Of course, Bo Hart's there, so
Yeah, that's
John
Yeah.
what you
Mabry coming
need.
off the bench. Look at that. Look at those numbers.
yeah, dude, this is good. This is a good lineup, man, and a decent rotation too. Yeah, that's what's got me afraid of the Braves because, of course, I grew up with the '90s dynasty, and you're talking. That's what people always say. Well, how many times they win
Little
it in the
D.
'90s? That's how many times they win in the '90s. Well, they kept running into the Yankees, who were also the middle of a dynasty, and I think of that '96 World Series. That still like going back to back would have been huge. Um, Andrew hit 2 homers as a 19-year-old kid in Yankee Stadium, had a 2-0 lead, and Yankees just like, all right, it's our turn. And then the Yankees just kept winning at that point. They won 96, they won 98, they won in 2000, 2001, 2002. And the Braves never got back there until recently. So, well, how about you, Corey? You remember a time when the Cubs lost the World Series in your lifetime?
Nope.
Yep.
Anytime they made the
One,
World Series,
one for one, baby.
they've won it, baby.
But that's
Yeah, I
just
mean,
like that's a good example of a dynasty that didn't happen.
yeah. Well, I that went down pretty fast, pretty quickly. It's unfortunate. I
A
think
window.
looking back
Mhm.
on it, the front office handled it very well, seeing those guys that are not there anymore doing what they're doing now for their other teams.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't. It's crazy to see how poorly they are performing to me. So it hurt a lot when it was happening, but now I'm like, oh, maybe there's a reason you guys are doing this and I'm not. So
Yeah, dodge a bullet. Because like I think about the Phillies when the Phillies won the World Series, and then they kept trying to hold on,
mhm.
and Howard and Utley and Rollins, like it was bad. They stayed in Philly too
As,
long.
as Steve Perry once said, should have been gone. Sometimes you just got to
Yeah, there you go.
get rid of those old players that used to be good.
Yeah, I mean the Dodgers and the Astros have been the cream of the crop the last 10 years, 8 years maybe. So I'm
The
excited for the
Dodgers.
Braves are going.
Well, the Dodgers somehow keep doing it, and then also continue to have an excellent farm system, um,
Hmm.
which is maybe the most impressive thing. And I think maybe I didn't do it this week, but I did want to bring it up to you guys. Maybe we should do a Dodgers fun fact every week because it seems like we do have at least two people, which is a pretty
Hmm.
significant portion of our listener base that enjoy when we talk about the Dodgers. Um, so the Dodgers have been great. They've got a great farm. Go Dodgers is not my personal feelings, but I think that they do. They run that
They had a
organization in a
rough
good.
weekend to close out their homestand. I don't know
Yeah, I
what
wonder
happened
who
there.
gave them that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Sean
Yeah,
Green.
yeah. Let's just and then we'll just randomly name previous Dodgers. Yes,
The
Aaron.
text I sent you guys today, it was Joe West and Dodgers. It's the perfect text. We should have pulled it up for this. Viewers, go out there and search Joe West calls
Goes
strike
west.
one on Raul Mondesi. I don't know if that's going to work, but the
It's
video.
Joe West's new ESPN show, like they did the where Peyton Manning traveled. This is
Yeah,
Joe West goes west, and eventually he
Keeps going
makes it
west.
back to the U.S. because he's went around the world at some
he's
point. But
gone West.
he
Did you
only
guys see
knows how
that
to go
clip?
one way. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
it
watched
was
it.
good.
Raul Mondesi taking his time, and Joe West tells the pitcher to throw it. And the pitch was horrible. It wasn't even close to a
No,
strike. And Joe West calls it a strike anyway. And Mondesi's still like 20 feet from the batter's box. Oh, I love Joe West.
This is very similar to the one I spoke about with
mm-hmm.
the Cardinals the other day, where
Mm-hmm.
the guy
Probosky.
left the batter's box and they just like
Yeah.
throw the pitch, Raboski and McCarver and
Oh,
Do
man.
Do you guys know who might be playing? Has a pretty good chance of playing on the Dodgers next year.
not
Joe
Julio
West?
Urias.
That's true. Not him. This is a segue. I'm leaning forward and it's going
Oh,
forward.
Tommy Lasorda.
Oh,
I
Shohei
don't think so.
Ohtani, maybe?
No, maybe
No.
Shohei. Oh, look at
no way. I don't believe it.
that. I'm going for 1 week, and you guys
Um,
figured how to segue.
well, that was the weirdest thing ever. We were talking about Joe West going west.
I was like, we're all about to
Joe
see
West and
Alberto.
Shohei, they kind of resemble each other.
Yeah,
Is
pretty much the
Joe
same
West
person.
Shohei?
I've never seen him in the
That's
same place.
that's another
true.
segment. Anyway, speaking of Shohei, um, I wanted to bring this up just because we've been hearing obviously like he's shutting down the pitching. He's obviously was about to be probably the most sought after free agent ever, make the most money ever, probably biggest MLB contract ever. But I wanted to talk about this because I've been seeing some reports of people straight up being like, "Hey, you should go get that surgery now and shut down." Um, Obviously, I think Shohei is a different breed, and for many reasons, but mainly like this dude has had a lot of like injuries, like tightness and like things he normal people be taking out of the game, and like the dude just keeps playing for the Angels fan base who like I mean maybe he's doing it for them, but like man, I don't know if I'd play. Like it's kind of crazy, but I just wanted to bring it up and discuss a little bit because like what do you think his best option would be to shut it down, potentially rehab it better to pitch again because it sounds like he may not even pitch next year at all. But I mean he's still a dominant hitter. I mean, so just wanted your guys' thoughts, opinions on that.
Hmm.
I would get the surgery. Because I think if he doesn't pitch next year with or without it, I would get it, and then he can still hit in either situation. Because we see people not get it right away, I think a lot of the time, and then 2 months go by and they're like, oh nope, now he's getting Tommy John surgery, and now you've lost 2 months of whatever your return time was. I do because this is his second Tom. This will be his if he gets Tommy John. This would be his second Tommy John surgery. I do think that the second time around, the recovery is sometimes not quite as or it won't get you back in the same place as much as the first one does. Like it seems like people get one Tommy John surgery and then it's almost like nothing ever happened. I think you see sometimes with the second one they don't quite go back to the pitcher that they were before. So maybe there's some hope that that's what would come about of this. But again, like I would just hate to not see him pitch for 2 months or 3 months or however long it takes him to decide that if they decide he does need the surgery and they delay it, like that's just longer that me as a fan does not get to see him pitch. So I would just get out of the way. I obviously am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. You guys can't, anybody listening to this can't sue us.
Wait. You're not a doctor?
I'm not a doctor.
Fool
I
me.
played one
You didn't.
with my kids earlier.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That's about it though. So I'd knock it out, but if there is a chance, maybe it does. I mean, it doesn't seem like this is obviously a clear-cut situation where you need Tommy John, or else it would have happened already. So again, not a doctor, but a fan of watching Shohei Ohtani pitch.
Yeah, not knowing any
Next.
time. I don't know any timetables like how long he would be out if he got it now versus how long would he be out if he waited till the end of the season. Um, I assume both. I mean, wouldn't both keep you out for some of the first part of next season? Everything. I'm not saying pitching. I know pitching is like
What
12 months,
Harper
but
was 9 months to come
Mhm.
back in DH.
Yeah, I
So
think
that's
yeah,
what
if
I
you're
was trying
talking
to think.
now,
I think he'd be pretty close to coming back to DH at the beginning of next year. Because I mean,
it'd be
it would
similar
basically
to
be a
Harper.
month sooner than Harper got it if he got
Mm-hmm.
it like now. And yeah, I think he came back in the middle of May.
Mm-hmm.
So, within a month of the season starting. But again, Harper, I think that was a very quick recovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would be on the same page as Corey as a fan, especially as a fan when you're not winning. I mean, if they were like, trying to have a deep playoff race, yeah, you keep playing. But as a fan, I would not care if he went and did it. And if I was him, I would. So at the very end of the day, after you've played your baseball and you love it, you love it, you love it, you love it. The very, very end of that, what's at the very, very, very end of it?
Taxes?
Well, that plays into
A
big
door.
old door with a big old pile of cash behind it. And if it's going to help your career and make more money, you do the move that does that, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, I would start the incision for the doctor myself and be like, I'm here and we're ready to go. So
Because
Joe
Joe
is a
is
Corey
doctor.
said,
Doctor, yes, confirmed.
I'm not a good one. I have no educational background in it, but amateur. Like Corey said, sometimes people will try things. I'm going to rehab it. I'm gonna get some platelet rich plasmas in there. And have we ever heard of one of those working? I feel like maybe
Bartolo.
Bartolo. Yeah, I was gonna say he was so fat, like the inflammation couldn't find another spot in his body. So, um, yeah, I would get to surgery.
My question, okay, he's got the oblique now too, which obliques can linger, especially if all you're doing is hitting. So, like, he, he has done everything he possibly can for those fans. So if they turned on him because he would cut it short and get the surgery now and miss the rest of the year, that's crazy because he's played through so much when he was the only one playing well. But man, the Angels just don't have, like, if he doesn't play, Trout's out still. All you have is Rendon and his antics in the news. Like, it's not a good time to be an Angels fan. But my follow up question, yeah, so I would be with you guys. Let's get done. My follow up question is, though, with the new two-way player rules where the DH and the pitcher spots are separate from each other. Um, he's only going to throw on a healthy season 150 to 160 innings because they have to do the 6-man rotation. At least they have so far for him. He's gonna be 31 before he's ready to pitch again. Like, what about him going to the bullpen and getting you 80 closer innings and spending more time just hitting instead of trying to be a starter and get you 150 and get hurt every other year? Like, if I'm signing him to 500, 600 million, I'm going to be asking those questions of our philosophy. Like, hey, what if we just make him an elite closer and he can go hit 60 bombs for us and stay
So
healthy?
this interestingly enough, Ian Happ has a podcast, which I know he's listening to this. So hi, Ian.
Hi, Ian.
They
Ian.
Let's collab.
yeah, come on sometime. They talked about that, about him maybe going to close. And the interesting thing they talked about was how and where he warms up, because he can't really go out to the bullpen. I don't know what. I assume you can warm up wherever you want. Like, he could go down into
I would think you go in
the
the clubhouse,
depths,
right?
yeah, and warm up somewhere there. I don't think there's a
He
rule
did that in the
that you.
WBC. He was ready to
Okay.
hit and ran out to the pin
Yeah, but if he's doing
because
that
he
like
closed.
every day, where he's just like every day he's running it, like if he's warming up in the eighth and then his spot is fifth and then he runs into hit and then like he's on the bases not warming up, then like it's just I like the idea of him closing, but the logistics of him getting ready
Yeah.
to do that gets a little, but again, they already made one rule for him, so I imagine something like he can warm up in the clubhouse is not that much of a stretch. But
Yeah, how much
it's an
different is
interesting thought.
that from sitting as a starter in between innings? Like, you pitch, your team hits for 15 minutes, and then you go out there and get your 8 warm-up pitches. Can he get hot the inning before and still be okay?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that's a
mean,
good
I think a
question.
lot of it, at least starting, is probably pregame. You know, like
I'm saying, like, in the 5th inning, if he
no, I
hits.
I understand, but so I mean, like that's him trying to time when he
Mhm.
needs to start that process,
Yep.
and um, if they're winning or if they're not winning or if they need him or if they don't. Like, yeah, it gets complicated, but it's something I would still love to see. Again,
So maybe he
anything that
goes
gets
to.
him.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say anything that gets him in the game on both sides of the ball. I'm
Yeah.
here for.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. As long as he does pitch, whatever capacity that is, just want to see
Yeah.
that as long as possible.
So I'm hearing Tampa as an opener is the best place for Ohtani.
That's actually yes. That's probably the best.
Go pitch 3 innings
Yeah.
max.
I think you do it every 3 or 4 days too.
Yeah. There we
All
go.
right.
Who was
You heard it here first.
Just to knock the train off a little bit, who was the guy from the Twins who threw with a torn? I thought it was a UCL. Maybe it was a torn labrum. Several years.
Is it Johan?
No, I was thinking Brad Ratke, but now I'm thinking that's not right. I had a guy at work who's a Twins fan. We always was like, oh, he's gonna throw another 200 on the torn arm.
Can you give him the code and bring him in?
Real quick.
Probably he's probably in bed.
I'm just Googling it. See what happens. I put ACL instead of UCL. I was like, a lot of Royce Lewis all of a sudden.
Listeners, if you could call in or maybe text one of us. Oh wait, this is not
We've
live.
got a
Never
number
mind,
set
I'm
up.
sorry.
Yeah, it's 867-5309. Ask
A
for
lot
Jenny.
of A lot of Joel Zamaya. Do you remember how he got hurt, Joe?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do I remember?
Hey, we've all been there.
Oh
Guitar
yeah.
Hero.
I remember.
That's great. Yeah, it's a good conversation, Jared.
Yeah.
All we
Do
can
you
say
have
for
a-
sure is we want him to do both.
What would you like him to do, Jared? You really sparked a lot of conversation here, and we haven't got your opinion on it.
I mean, I think the correct answer is you just go get the surgery done and get it over with. Like, I truly don't think, unless you're an Angels fan and you're trying to go watch him play the last few games in that stadium, I think you're voting to go get the surgery because, one, probably one of the best players to ever play the game. Two, he's not coming back to the Angels, so let's just put that out there. You can print that on a T-shirt in the newspaper.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. He ain't coming back. So
Merch income.
yeah. I agree with you guys. There's no way you just don't shut it down.
All right, Joe,
Oh.
are you
I'm
ready?
on Snapchat. I'm on Snapchat messaging the guy, and his little head just popped up like he's listening. So
America's new favorite baseball segment.
Well, we need to come up with a zinger that's really long because every time we try and get to this segment, Joe's doing something else.
Joe does something else, yeah.
All right. Let me set my
Reinstate
timer real quick. It's weird. It said air can't put a timer on Creative Genius, so I guess I have unlimited time. Thanks.
Well, at least you tried. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Wait. He's messaging back.
Well, listeners and viewers, we are going to get to appreciate a reinstate sometime as soon as we solve the mystery.
It was Brad Ratke, so
okay. Good for Brad Radke.
All right, thank you.
Twins.
Little Brad. Yeah,
So let me tell you about a story.
now.
I got a story for you.
Get comfy.
Yeah, I don't. All right, yeah, get comfy, Aaron. I don't want you chiming in unless I ask you, and I may ask you, but just settle down. Oh, pulling the mic closer. No, so let me take you back to one of our games. I'll try to paint a picture here. I feel like it may have been summer ball because it was so stinking hot. I mean, we're talking pushing triple digits. We're playing in one of the bigger towns in our area, one of the bigger teams.
Quincy,
So
Brussels.
Oh.
Both of those are going to come into the conversation. That's hilarious. We are playing Quincy, so shout out to all of our listeners in Quincy, Illinois. And so just to kind of sprint into the story, our real good friend and our starting pitcher gives up 16 in the first. I know what you're thinking. I couldn't quite hear him. He said 16. Nobody gives up that many runs in the first. Was it higher?
I thought it was 20. I honestly thought it was 20.
Okay. Now that I'm thinking it may have been 21. So that's where the story starts. We are getting mauled first inning. I remember our catcher coming in. 600 gallons of sweat are pouring off of this guy. He's hating his life. I'm playing second, just watching balls get blasted. Cooney, you're outfield, right? Are you playing
I
outfield?
started on the bench and lasted 2 outs, and then I came in to relieve him.
Oh, he didn't get out of the first inning. That's right.
No, he got 2 outs.
I think it was 16. I think it was 16. Let's make it 16 so it's not as bad.
Same face a little bit.
Okay, but anyway, where I'm going with this is let me describe the field to you real quick. So left field is a giant stone wall, probably 30 feet tall.
Joe, you keep freezing, man.
Super, super thick stone wall. I don't something. And a lot of battles over in Quincy. And then
I think I'm going to take over the story.
and so that ran. So then
We're going to edit this.
Am I like super choppy?
You've been chunking.
We lost you for like 10 seconds.
All right. Am I back smooth?
I
For
think
now,
so.
you're good.
All right, 30-foot stone wall.
30-foot stone wall shooting out to center field. So dead center, and then everything in right has no wall at all. It's endless. I think it was last year, or it was recent, and I think it was John Boy. He kind of had a Twitter escapade of, hey, send me pictures of your crazy high school stadiums you either played at or like that was your home stadium. So to bring that into the major leagues and into the segment of, man, I got to come up with a jingle. I was thinking I'll have a jingle for next week, folks. Don't worry about that. But into our segment of appreciate or reinstate, it got me thinking. We hear about and we know there's some crazy old-timey stadiums, right? So that's going to be our segment today. We'll talk about, do we appreciate that the way they I think sometimes they just plug these stadiums into old like horse grounds or other fields where the dimensions were outrageous. They had limited space. They're like, we're going to squeeze this in here. Do we appreciate that used to be a part of the game, or through massive social media influence, do we try to get like Las Vegas to build the YOLO grounds, not the Polo grounds? I just came up with that right then. But I gotta. So first, I want to give a shout out to, and I'm wondering if this is maybe a descendant. But I found this website. I want to give him a shout out because it's actually really cool. AndrewClem.com/baseball. I'm guessing Andrew Clem gets you there. I think it's spelled different than our very good friend Clem of the umpiring dynasty.
Of the Bill fame.
The greatest hitter of all time.
The greatest hitter of all time. Yes. But he has a really cool history of the fields, and he kind of overlays the different years and how the dimensions changed on a few of them. And I didn't go super crazy into this because we're a podcast and we can have more discussion about it. But let me see if I can share my screen real quick. And for our viewers, I'll try to talk through this. How do you share a screen?
Still hasn't figured it out. He's the only one on the pod that tries, and he still does not do it. Oh, this is
all
cool.
Right. You guys got this?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. So I don't know if you can see. I believe this is the old Brave Stadium. They played like early to mid 1900s in. But it looks like the down left is 251, 42-foot fence in left.
Got a chance.
And it looks like they changed the fence here a little bit, but at one point to right field, it was 440. We're going to get crazier than this, but, just looking at how short left is, and this is kind of what the Quincy field looked like. If you just make right field infinite, this is maybe this is Quincy field. I don't know. Maybe the Braves didn't play here.
Bring that 251 into about 151.
We were having balls hit off the wall and flying back into the infield.
Yeah, the shortstop fielded bitty balls off that wall.
So this is League Park, which I believe Cleveland played at back in the day. 290 down right, 460 in dead center.
That's what I'm talking about.
375 down left. The next one's going to be the Polo Grounds. It's kind of famous. I mean, just look how.
Look at that dead center.
MLB The Show, man. That's a blast to play it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So really outrageous. Here is Fenway from, I think, the original fencing. So if you look at dead center, and that looks straight up like a right angle out there too. 488 to dead center, still with a big green monster, and they've sliced some of that center field down and brought it in a little bit. But
I was say, does that center field stands just go straight over that wall now? Because they've got that yellow line.
Yes,
on
I believe
that part
so.
of the monster. Yeah.
I would encourage you to look at andrewklim.com, and it like overlays all the years where they made updates and brought in things like that. So, and some of the more, let me stop my share there. Some of the more recent ones that definitely aren't as crazy as far as dimensions being really long or really short. But, I think of, the hill that Houston had.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco has a pretty funky wall still. And then the dome. Am I freezing again?
A little bit. You're back.
You're okay.
The dome in Minnesota, where like you could hit the dome or hit scaffolding or something, and you never really knew what was going to happen with that call. So yeah, I'll get to you guys' thoughts, the listeners' thoughts of. We got some teams moving to new stadiums. We got Kansas City, I think, just announced maybe their possible design for their stadium. Some expansion teams could happen in the next few years. And so what do you think? Reinstate or appreciate? I'll go last.
Go for it, Jared.
Yeah, go ahead, Jared.
Why do I have to go first?
And if it's reinstate, please give your design. Don't go into super in depth because I haven't given you a lot of time to think about it. But please go into what your design would be or what your first thoughts are.
Okay, got it. I'm always gonna go reinstate.
I'm counting on you to do it every time.
So a few things, like we mentioned Brussels earlier. There's a few fields that I played on that were always gnarly, but being an outfielder, I think my favorite part was the warm-ups and walking the outfield and like getting a feel for how that whole outfield was. Like that was always my favorite part, and kind of like feeling for the dimensions and whatnot. I will admit, like going to stadiums where like it's just kind of like that normal outfield fence, nothing really crazy. Like I just always kind of find it boring. Like I'm always looking for something that could like change the dynamic of like a ball bounce or how the fielders play it. I just think that adds a different element to the game. Like I'll admit, I'm bringing the Braves back down to earth for a second. I hated Turner Field. Like I'm glad it got blown up, if I'm being honest.
Like, yeah, it's boring.
That field is so boring. Like obviously the field now is amazing. Like we've been there a few times, and it is a pretty dope ballpark to go to with that brick wall in right field.
Mm-hmm.
Can get some crazy bounces off of that. Obviously Fenway comes to mind. I mean, that's just I think if I ever went professional, that would be the field I'd want to play at. Just one, the history, but then just the dimensions of everything, and all that fun stuff. I'm more mad at Houston again because they got rid of the hill in center field. Don't know why it was ever there, but I thought it was a cool aspect. But for my design, since I have to go really quick, what I thought would be really cool would the foul poles are only like down the line, it's only like 100 feet. But then, I mean, it just shoots straight out to like, it gets to like 550 dead center. So I need you to think about that for a second. I mean,
I'm trying to think about that. It's
Is
hard
that
to
a
picture.
rhombus? What
I
shape
can
is
draw
that,
this
Corey?
up for you tomorrow. No, I'll
Yeah,
draw this
thank
up.
you.
We'll
Yeah.
get this figured out.
And then the fences down the line are like 2 feet. So it hits you right at the knee.
Like Fenway.
But I mean, and
Yeah.
the more you go to dead center, the higher it gets. And there's fans that like go all along that too. And then of course, you can throw in some hills everywhere, not just in dead center, to try to
Random
make it more
mounds.
interesting.
It's like
So
the
you might
sides of
think
a fairway on a golf course.
yeah, you might think you have a home run right
Sand
down the line,
trap.
but you might hit one of the hills and it's just a ground rule double. So just that's just off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I like it.
I do.
I like it a lot.
Are there poles along that fence that say, if it's hit on this side of the pole, it's a double. If it's hit on this side of the pole, it's a fence, like Brussels? No,
It's a
everything's
fence.
just a homer.
Everything's a homer.
Yeah. All right. That's good. I was going to say appreciate, but I'm going to reinstate as well. My concern was that it would mess up certain people's stats. Like obviously if you played at that stadium, you get some homers and you lose some, but there's ways now. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Twitter account. It's called Will It Dong. And what it does is after every home run, it will give you a number out of 30 of which stadiums it would have been a dong at. So that would be nice where, if there's maybe a dong at Jared's hypothetical stadium, we could tell whether or not it would have been a dong at a different stadium.
I'm glad you clarified. Someone's gonna Google that and get something they shouldn't.
No, I'm pretty sure that's the name of the account. I sure hope it is, or else.
All right, moving
We're
on.
hoping it is too, or we're getting a lot of hate mail.
But from all of our
Your
moms are
mom.
gonna be like, I googled this and this is not what I. But I think the unique stadiums are really cool, and I think it's fun to look at them. I love seeing people run the bases. Ball, like the ball being in play is the most exciting time of a baseball game. So if you have these like super deep parks and you get this guy who hits it over the center fielder's head and it's 500 feet to that wall, like that guy's off. And that's just going to be, a fun time. I do also remember there was an NCAA baseball game back when you could have NCAA baseball games where you could modify and create your own stadiums. I would always do like a 2-foot fence and 200 feet. And the announcers in that it was hilarious because they'd be like, "Oh, here's a pop-up. And it's gone." And it's just like, oh, okay. Well, because you'd hit like a pretty late timing and barely nick the ball and hit it 200 feet. But so that's maybe if somebody's still got a game system that can run that, I'm sure we could find a copy. It's probably only about $250 for that
Probably
retro game now. But bring it back because we've got the stats to kind of level out, or the capabilities to kind of level out stats and figure out what dongs and what doesn't. So
That's good. Do all dongs count the same?
they do. It all looks the same in the scoreboard, box score.
Gotcha.
That's it.
Sounds good. I'm also a reinstate. To piggyback off something Jared said about knowing your outfield dimensions. The Braves wall is kind of different because it's made out of different materials too. Halfway up is just the net. So if a ball hits low on the wall, it dies. And if it goes above that, it hits that brick and it goes flying off. And I've seen Acuna's play there the most probably. I've seen him make awesome plays, throwing people out at second off caroms, and then you see a visiting outfielder get too close to the wall, and the Braves hit it off the wall, and then all of a sudden they're getting an extra base or two because now they're chasing the ball back towards the infield. So knowing your dimensions definitely matters. The other day, Matt Olson hit a one hopper past the diving second baseman in Colorado. I forget who it was. And as soon as second baseman missed it, Peter Moylan goes, "Oh, that's a triple," because he knew playing there that getting in that gap at Denver, that Matt Olson would be able to get a triple out of it. So, yeah, knowing your dimensions. And what makes it cool is, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the only professional sport, maybe the only sport in general, that does not have a set playing field dimensions. Like all basketball courts are the exact same. All hockey rinks are the exact same. I don't know about cricket, but all tracks are the same. Like, so the fact that your sport has some leeway in making unique playing surfaces, I would lean into it. Now, obviously, you can go video game style with what Jared's talking about, what Corey's talking about. But to be more realistic, like, yeah, why not have different dimensions and then build your team around it? And then that also allows teams to be built differently. If all the fields are the same, then everybody's going to try to put the same field on the team or the same team on the field and go after the same players. But if, like in Colorado, you need to specialize in outfield defense because not only do you give up more homers, but the outfield's so big, you get more bloop singles and stuff. And so your batting average goes up because of that too. So you need better defenders. So yeah, I'd go for it. I'd reinstate it and have some fun with it, but maybe not quite as crazy as Jay Lee would go, but let's do it. Like, I'm curious to see an overhead shot of what Minute Maid looks like with the hill and without, because that Crawford seating, it's still really short. But then, of course, when you're their away team, like when the Yankees poop one down the right field line, they get a homer for it, and you're their away team, you get so mad when they do it at Yankee Stadium. But, build your team around it. I love, like, the Mets' new stadium is huge. They realize we can't hit homers. And so they brought it in after building the new stadium. They already changed the fence dimensions because David Wright couldn't even get them out of there. But yeah, I'd say reinstate it and lean into it as a sport. Encourage it. No team, no two dimensions can be the same. And let's have fun with it.
Yeah, and I just came up with this. I think it's pretty fun. I have nothing else to call it but the Butt Crack Stadium. Sorry, but for our viewers, I mean, I'm going to show it to you here. Aaron, can you help me out? For our listeners,
I'm texting you guys something.
Try to describe it. I don't think I want to open that text. So I would say the dimensions, 80% of the dimensions would be normal, your foul poles, your left center, your right center. But I would have this here.
Yep.
All the dots are where fans can sit.
I could have done without the dots in this diagram.
It's kind of hairy.
Yeah, we're in a hairy situation here.
We are.
Yeah, wait till you open that picture from Aaron.
And it's kind of stinky.
So this is obviously right behind. Dead center's a home run at, like, Corey. What is home to second? Thanks, Corey.
You're welcome.
So probably like what, 130
You'll figure it out.
feet right here.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
That's a pretty crappy drawing.
Nice.
So I mean, I'd have to talk to the designers and engineers about this, but I would probably have like archways under here, so your center fielder could still play, like,
run under. That's smart.
And could get under. So mine would look something like this. Think of you could sell these seats right here for tens of thousands of dollars. Look at that fan experience. Other than this, I would have probably a 200-foot backstop. That way, all these wild pitchers that can't throw strikes, you throw something by them, and it's just a homer. So, yeah, I was
little incentive. Yeah, okay.
I was on the fence, or Yeah, on the fence, you could say about bringing that back, but yeah,
Pull that
let's
back up,
reinstate
Joe.
it.
Like if I hit a slicing line drive that's kind of going to center and the right, it goes over the fans, but then lands back
It's
on the
not a homer.
field.
It's
Can
in
a
play. Yeah.
fan can a fan jump up and catch it? Is that fan interference? Or is that a homer for me?
Fan interference.
So we're selling. That's fan interference, or does it count? It's
I
a
mean,
homer.
you have to have a net right where you're at the base
Nope.
of the butt crack there, because
Mm-mm.
that
Insurance
somebody's gonna get hit
waivers.
in the teeth.
Insurance waivers.
The best fans better sign up to get that.
So
Ain't
I'm
no bringing
only
your kid to
selling
that seat.
those. Yeah, and no alcohol in that section.
There's
I'm
a
only
there's a
selling those to home sober fans though, because I want them catching all the line
Mhm.
drives I hit over there, so I can get homers. I like it.
I'll
I
submit
like the
that to
backstop. That's a good
Kansas City.
idea. Yeah.
We're headed to
It's
Kansas
a
City in about
Yeah. Hey
2
Corey,
weeks.
if you could actually draw mine up and send it to me, that'd be
I
great.
will. I will
Thank you,
tomorrow.
sir.
It's 127 feet home to second.
Okay. Yeah, so you about 140 feet right there from
And so, I mean,
no
this would
net
be
needed.
great for the second baseman and shortstop, because they get to talk to fans where they probably usually don't.
Mm-hmm.
And get
Where
Yeah,
does
they
the
never get
center
to.
fielder go? Just if he wants to shift one side
I
to the
th-
other, he has to run all the way in and go around, or is there a tunnel between?
Yeah,
Can he,
no,
if
no.
there's a ball
You missed what
slicing? Yeah, I might have. I'm going to improve this. There's a tunnel between. So if there's a ball where he starts on one side and it's on the other, he can run under the fans through the tunnel and come out on the other side and catch the ball.
That's what he said.
That's exactly what he
Oh,
said.
Yeah.
That's a good idea,
okay.
Corey. I like
Thanks,
it, Joe. You
guys.
should do
I
that.
was too busy mathing to figure out what home to second
No, no,
was.
you're good.
And we're
You're good.
talking about customizing your rosters to fit your home team. In that situation, you don't need a good center fielder. So that's where you get like David Ortiz to be your center fielder. He's got to cover 5 feet either direction. So you could load up on offense.
Really, you
Yeah.
just put him in the infield and just run with a right fielder and a left fielder.
You know who would be great? A rover.
Ooh. There you go. We got one of
probably-
those.
I'd probably put the ball over the fence for him, if you know what I mean.
Just look up. That's all I ask. Don't look back, or do look back. I'm not sure which direction you should be looking in that scenario. Which way's back?
Yeah.
I was gonna try to work that in, Aaron, but I didn't want to.
That's
Yeah. Well, it's called
Anyway.
Would It Dong. So let's don't search Will It Dong. Search Would It Dong. I'm not
Would
sure.
it-
I think
would it dong?
WOULD.
okay. Make sure you spell that right.
Yes.
I
Don't
feel like-
say
I feel like this-
WOOD.
I feel like my stadium would create some issues for that stat that they're keeping there, but maybe not.
You could get a lot of sponsors with that stadium, Joe.
There would be a lot of 1 out of 30 dongs.
Where at though?
Right in the crack.
Okay. All right, Aaron. Thanks. Back to you.
Yeah, I don't want it after that conversation. Corey's
we
going
need
to
you
take it.
We need you to take it though. Or
Yeah, I think
are
it
we
goes
on
to
the board
Corey.
here?
It's
So
Corey.
we-
I'm staying out of this.
Are we going to predictions? Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to predictions.
Let's wrap this up.
Before we go to predictions, Aaron, I know your dad texts us every time before
did.
the pod. My mom sent me a text during the pod, and she said, "You doing your podcast? If so, ask Aaron. I was wondering what happened to his Braves tonight." So, Aaron, would you like to answer my mom?
Oh,
What happened to your Braves tonight?
coming in hot. Well,
Bye,
and he
Aaron.
quit the
See you
pod.
later. Yep.
Text her that
Roasted.
he quit the pod.
Boom, roasted.
I'm still here, Corey. It's me and you, bud.
So we could recap the predictions from last week, I guess.
Let's
see
talk
the
about it.
scoreboard. Let's make sure that we are.
Nope. Hey,
So
we're
fun-
good, guys.
Fun
In
fact
here.
for you: I shut my door, and thankfully it's broke because my keys are in here on my desk. So I almost just
Does it
locked
lock
myself.
automatically?
It is locked right now. It's just a little push button. So I almost locked myself out of the pod because of your mom.
That would have been a real
fun.
Brinkman situation. Anywho, so let's recap last week. I was going to input my own predictions, but I was like, you know what? No, I'll go with
You
Gavin's.
get
Let's-
Gavin's. Yeah, you get
No,
Gavin's.
I know. So you want to know what happened? Gavin went 4-0-1. That's what happened. So thank you, Gavin.
That means Joe did not go well.
Joe went 1-3-1. Jared and Aaron went 3-1-1, which brings the totals to Aaron now in the lead with 51. Jared 48, Joe 47, and I have 46.
Joe, you're falling, bud.
I know. I didn't get my GM job either, so there goes that.
Great job, Gavin. I should
You
have
got a
consulted
future
you.
in stadium design, though.
Yeah. So based on what happened last week and your logic, I guess Gavin is the guy who gets the GM job, which is a little scary, but great at predicting who wins series, I suppose.
Gonna work.
So this week, I was really not that excited about a lot of these series. So there's a few, like, there weren't even like bad series. It was a lot of good teams versus bad teams. But we will kick her off with
you got good picks here. I like these.
Well, thank you.
All playoff picture stuff.
Except the Padres. I lost my other.
They still got a run in them.
We're gonna talk about the Padres at Astros first. The Padres are underperforming, as we talked about, but I don't think they are underperforming enough to turn it around to beat the Astros. So I'm going to take the Astros. I assume we can just probably move on to Joe.
Bingo.
All right. Jared's taking the Padres. Joe?
Yeah, I'll go. I mean, the Astros have something to play for, so I don't really like either team, but let's go Astros.
Okay. Aaron?
I'm going to go Padres. I think the Astros did it all the other day with Altuve. He can't hit any more homers this week. He's done.
Did you guys watch the clip I sent you about the Rangers broadcaster?
I haven't watched it yet. No, I did.
Okay.
I did see the point, but no.
Well,
that's hilarious.
He just talks about how hitting 3 home runs in 3 innings isn't that impressive, and then at the end he's like, "Okay, actually, I am impressed." And it's like, this is.
It was before the Rangers even batted through the lineup points. Altuve hit 3 homers before the 7, 8, 9 guys hit. That's ridiculous.
All right.
Must have been a lot of trash cans in there.
Yep.
Empty stadium, you hear it.
Is the Brewers at Yankees. Yankees, since they kind of made their shift to their young guys, have been playing well. It's been a lot of fun seeing Jason Dominguez play, and I hope the Brewers lose. So I'm going to take the Yankees.
This one was tough for me, but I took the Brew Crew.
Well, you're wrong. So Joe, go ahead.
Yankees. Am I right?
You're right. Yes.
I took Yankees as well.
Ooh, on an island over here.
Next is the D-backs at Cubs. D-backs have been scuffling. Cubs have not been scuffling. They actually had, fun fact, today they had won 8-2 against the Giants. The 3 pitchers the Cubs pitched started the year at Double-A or lower in the organization. So that's nice to see. Some homegrown pitching maybe showing up. But anyway, I'm going to take the Cubs.
Shocker. God.
I can talk more about them. Do you want me to?
I'm also going to take the Cubs.
Nice.
I looked up the word scuffle. I mean, I think we all know what that means. I just wanted like the absolute definition: a short, confused fight or struggle at close quarters. So, I guess it's.
How about kerfuffle?
I can't even spell that. I'll go. I guess I'm a homer for the home team, so Cubs.
I'm going D-backs, baby. Got to give them the playoffs. If they're not going to win the West for me, they got to get the playoffs still.
Well, they're not going to win the West for you.
No, Dodgers got that locked down.
Joe West won the West as he traveled west. Next is the Marlins at Phillies. I'm surprised the Marlins projected winning percentage is so low, at least with Yuri Perez against Christopher Sanchez, which is at 46.4% for everybody who isn't looking at our agenda, which is everyone who's not us 4. But I think the Phillies are hitting on most cylinders. I still think that there's room for improvement. So I'm going to take the Phillies.
Yes, Phillies.
Jared,
Sounds good. Phillies.
stop stealing my answers.
I didn't. I went Brew Crew.
Phillies as well.
All
Trey
right,
Turner's finally doing things.
we're going to wrap it up with which I thought was the most exciting series this weekend, and it is the Mariners at Rays. Good matchups here. Pitching on the Mariners side, man, they got a good rotation, huh?
Talked about that last week a little bit.
I know. I'm gonna take the Mariners and Brian. Woo! I can't Ric Flair too loud. It's almost 10:30.
Right. Woo. I'm gonna be sleepless in Seattle.
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 Wow, that wasn't very exciting for those last two.
Well, Jared and I have been voting Seattle, so you knew we were going there.
You know, I don't like the Rays now that they don't have anybody left on their team. Although Tyler Glass now still good at pitching.
Even though he's not pitching this series.
That's true. Pitch tonight. Anyway, split on Astros Padres. Jared picked the Brewers. The rest of us picked the Yankees. Aaron picked the D-backs. The rest of us picked the Cubs. And then everybody picked the Mariners. Everybody picked the Phillies. So Seattle and Philadelphia, don't mess this up. And we'll see if anybody can make up some ground on Aaron. Because he did pick differently than most of us. Except on the ones we all picked the same.
Alrighty, yeah, my D-backs. That'll be the big one. If my D-backs beat your Cubbies. Alrighty, guys. Man, we are almost done with season 1 of Rake Your Position. Like, we've got, 4 more weeks of regular season?
There are 26 weeks.
Yeah. It's going to be insane.
It'll be a pretty fun off season.
Yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff planned for the off season. So next week we'll be recording on Wednesday. Pod will drop, and then some of us are headed to Kansas City to check out Kauffman Stadium and see the Astros in Kansas City. So we might do some fun in-person YouTube shorts while we're together. It's Roberto Clemente Day while we're there, and it's Monarchs Day on Saturday, which I'm rocking KC Monarchs hat here. So getting ready for the trip. And then it's all eyes on pretty much the NL wildcard / Central. Everything else, and the Blue Jays. I guess the Blue Jays can have some fun in the AL still. So keep tuned in, Rakers. Share your thoughts. Talk about your favorite ideal stadium. Let Joe know about his butt crack and if it's a good place to play baseball.
Yeah.
And until next time,
and tell your friends.
Rake your butt crack.
Position.
Oh,
Position?
I got confused.